designing Groce. And we are the game changers. Designers, creatives alike. We are in a world that runs on value. Our next designs will be the shiniest. Our next animation will be the most buttery. Ladies and gentlemen, game changers, let the games begin. Howdy doody, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Figma 2 Editor X session. I'm super excited because today I decided to really make something super complicated. And I wanted to kind of go through the good and the bad with you guys live to show you guys what we can really do in really just creating what we want in Figma and translating that into a live responsive website. So ladies and gentlemen, this will be quite a bit of a long tutorial if you guys want to stay for an hour, sure, but this whole session will be you guys seeing what's possible in the realm of taking your design that you've built, love, etc., in a tool that you know and love, Figma, and being able to pull that into a responsive website platform called Editor X. So before we dive into that, I just want to say hi to all of you guys in the chat. We've got people flying in. We have Alicia, what is going on? We have Samantha. We have Soli, what is happening? And we have PYP, hello, howdy, howdy doody. And first off, I would love to know how you guys are doing. And actually, I don't think I actually have this in the description, so I'm going to share this with you all right now. If you guys did RSVP or you did get an email, you should have gotten a link to the file that we are using today. I see a couple of you guys are actually viewing this already, but I just want to give you guys the Figma link that we are going to be using. Feel free to duplicate it because we're going to have a lot of fun. The design is awesome, and yeah, I was like, I think I might have overdone what I'm supposed to do today, but we're going to have a good time. What's going on, Jaywalk? We have Debu. What's happening? Jaywalk's what's going on? We have Fernando. Glad to have you in the house. Viraj. KH, what's going on? We got a good team of people here today. Good to have you guys. So first off, I want to know, how did you find us? If you are more than happy to share that. And two, have you heard of Editor X before? Yes or no? I'll go ahead and put a poll in the chat just to ask that. Let me see. I'm like, can I spell today? It'll just be a yes or no question. I'll go ahead and put that poll up so you guys can go ahead and answer that. What's going on, Nina? Good to have you here as well. We got goal. Oh, we got a what's it called? A very strong team here today. Samantha says shiny design equals perfect design. Yeah, it's gonna be it is definitely going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because the design that I did, it was not simple like the last one that we did. So let me actually Let me go ahead and actually share with you guys on my screen. I see a lot of you guys in the actual Figma file itself, but let's take a look. Let's take a look at what we're actually going to be using today. I see some of you guys in the Figma file. So we are going to play around with this file, and I'm going to tell you guys a little bit how I set it up so you guys have an understanding of how to set things up in Figma to set yourself up for success when you use the Editor X plugin. After that, what I want to actually share with you is the project that we did before our first workshop. So our first workshop, if you guys were with us last month in our community, we decided to do a very basic website because the Editor X plugin was new, especially for me. I didn't feel super comfortable doing something complicated, so I just stuck to something where we have a little bit of text, some images, we created a slider, and some other text down here, where this time around we're going a little bit fancier. If you guys haven't heard about it just yet, Adobe has revealed their new AI tool that is for images, text, and a lot of other things down the line when it comes to audio, 3D, things like that. But these images here were generated by Adobe Firefly, which is their new AI tool. So with that being said, a little bit of a glimpse at that if you guys want to check that out. It is in beta right now, but if you go to firefly.adobe.com, you guys can check that out as well. I'll put that in the chat so you can check it out. Kimberly, what's going on? Howdy doody. Isha, what is happening? We got Kristen. We've got a lot of fams here. We almost have 40 people. Very nice. Very nice. But how's everybody doing? It seems like everybody's in a good, fancy, and delicious mood. All right. So the first thing I want to break down for you guys, there's a lot of hands in the Figma thing, is how my layers are set up in Figma. Okay, and I'm gonna just, let's see. I'm gonna try to go step by step. So this is, I'm gonna just name this one because this is the one that we're using. So I'm gonna just call this the one we're using for today. Okay, so let's go ahead and break this down. So I'm gonna kind of, you guys know me. I don't I don't like to name things. I'm kind of like haphazard with that stuff. I just go with the flow, and I think that's kind of what most designers do. So I'm gonna call this the main frame, and what we have back here is our background half gradient. So let's break this down. And out of curiosity, I'm gonna just look at, okay, so about 60 of you guys know about Editor X. Cool. But how many of you guys have used, have used the Editor X plugin from Figma so far? I'd love to know that too. I'm gonna add another poll just so we know. A lot of what we're gonna do up front is I wanna gauge, because we have some new people, things like that. I wanna know, you know, who and how comfortable are you with the Editor X, Figma to Editor X plugin? So next poll that's going up, who has used the Figma to Editor X plugin? All right, let's go ahead, get that poll up. All right, then let's see what you guys are. Isaac, what's going on? Mina, howdy doody. All right, Isaac says, oh, I just made a video about that yesterday, actually. Very nice. Okay, so let's break this down. So what I have in my main frame here, and for those of you who are not or have used the Editor X to Okay, I see 94% of you have not used the plugin, which is why I'm going to use this or talk about this, because it's highly important. Because I've had a lot of people ask me, hey, can I kind of just design stuff and kind of just put things wherever? You can, but it really messes things up when it comes to how things get organized in Editor X. And I'll kind of showcase to you guys that right now. So I'm actually gonna duplicate this, and I'm gonna ungroup everything. So I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna ungroup, and just kind of have everything isolated, because I'm going to show you guys what happens in Editor X when we don't. So I'm going to go here, and this is the bad example for the plugin. Okay. So I'm going to go here. Now where we actually use the plugin, if you guys are not familiar with Figma either, you go here, boom, go to plugins, and I already have it in my recents, but if you're looking it up, it's literally just Editor X. Editor X, and well, it's in my recents, but I wonder why it's not showing up here. Maybe it's just because it is in my recents. All you have to do is go ahead and run it, and I'm using this on the bad example because I want to show you guys what happens if we don't organize our Figma file and what happens when we do organize our Figma file. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click get started. I'm going to select the artboard that I want to upload. As you guys can see here, it selects all of my typography styles, all of my color styles, and my media, and any shapes that I have. I can export to Editor X, and I need to actually grab the URL of my Figma file. So I'm going to go to the internet, grab my URL here, copy, paste it in here, export. PYP says Figma seems complicated, my friend. That's what it seems like in the beginning, but if you know how to use Photoshop, Figma is is equal in terms of in terms of complexity. It's really not that bad. And out of curiosity, what platforms are you using right now? It seems like that you're using GIMP. And by the way, if you guys would be so kind, if you guys haven't subscribed or liked this video yet, that would be tremendous. It would be a lot of help if you guys did that. It helps our videos, our live streams reach more and more people, educate them, and yeah, it just helps overall our community grow. So as you guys can see, all I've done so far is I've opened up the plugin, I've selected the artboard that I want to have turned into a site. And now all I did was I basically just followed the directions. It just said, hey, click get started. And so again, remember, this is the example of what not to do, because what it does is, yes, it kind of pulls everything in, but the organization, and I know for those of you who, the 60% of you who are familiar with EditorX, basically it makes it very difficult to how things are organized. It just is a hot mess. So for example, we have this container back here, or we have, you know, this area back here where it's white, where it's supposed to be a gradient, and it's just not there. And so, and there's just other things in there that really shouldn't be. Like, you know, this, imagine like this. Imagine this is a frame in Figma, and it has all these things in it that really shouldn't be in there. So what we have to do is we have to use Figma to organize and really just tell EditorX, hey, keep these things together, keep these things separate, and you know, these things belong together and these don't. So when you don't group things, or really when you don't put things in frames, EditorX just puts things wherever. It kind of creates the rules for you, and it's not good. Like, for example, there should be no reason that these things or this contain or these items here should be in the right hand side frame here, if I'm talking in Figma terms. The right way, okay, the correct way, this one, if we actually go and export this, I'll show you, and let me show you how I organized everything, okay? So I have this main frame. This is how I'm separating it, okay? I want all of this to be together, and inside of that frame, I have 3 sections. I have the top portion, so I'm like, hey, everything here, keep together. So we have our menu area. Please keep that together. That is in a frame. We want our text here and our shoe here. So we're gonna call this text and shoe. We want this to be together, because we're gonna basically in EditorX, we're gonna have 3 rows. We're gonna have a row for our column, or excuse me, a row for our menu, a row for our shoe and main text area, and we're gonna have a row for our slider, and kind of just pretend this is lorem ipsum, guys. I didn't get to the I didn't get to this in changing that text, and we might actually take it out. So I'm basically using frames to organize groups of content. And I've also used our main frame here to separate this from the background, because we want the background to be isolated by itself, and we want to have basically this be on top. And I'll show you what happens in the back on EditorX as well. So just like we showed here, there's like no, this is all nonsensical. EditorX, because we gave no restrictions, we gave them no frames or how exactly, no rules for how we want our stuff to present. It kind of just threw everything on the page and made its own rules that is not good for responsivity, and this will be a headache to edit, okay? Hey, Cody Brown, what's good, boy? Long time no see. Soli says it seems less complicated than Framer. My friend, it definitely is. It definitely is. Cody, what's been up, man? Long time no see. All right, let me see here. Okay, so basically just remember, do not just put things on an artboard and just upload it to EditorX. It's funky, it gets funky. Remember to set rules, and those rules are what groups of content, assets, etc. you want together. So far we've basically set rules for in frames for content we want together. We have a frame for our menu, we have a frame for our shoes and text here, and we have a frame for our slider here. All right, and I'm just gonna take this out just because we don't need that for right now. And because I have a main frame, it keeps this away from what's behind it. Okay, so I have a group for my image. And let me just check this real quick. Okay. Okay, I just wanted to check something. All right, so let's actually go ahead and pump this into EditorX real quick. Get started. Cam says, what is a main? Oh, a mainframe. So, Kimberly, basically what I've done here, just to close out the what's it called again? To close out the plugin. So I'm gonna use this artboard to explain the frame setup in Figma. Okay, so this main frame is what is holding all of our main groups of content. So the main frame just holds our 3 rows of content that we're trying to communicate to EditorX. We have a row for a menu, we have a row for our text in our main shoe element here, and we have a row for our slider. So our main frame is basically just to tell EditorX, hey, there's a group of content here, and within that, there's 3 rows of content. And we're putting that in a frame because we want to separate it from, if I just turn this off, I want to separate it from this background gradient image thing that I have back here. Because if I didn't put this into a frame and I simply just had our menu, text, shoes, and slider outside of a frame, a group, like a main, what I'm calling the main frame, it would, if we upload it to EditorX, it would smash all of this content together with our background content. And I don't want that. So I'm separating it by making a frame with our main text, images, assets, and having a group here that's totally separate that is just for our gradient image thing for the background. All right, hopefully I explained that. I see it. Got it. So basically Kimberly is saying, so you select each section and then make another frame to hold all of those sections to separate it from the, yes, exactly. So if I were to ungroup this, right? Let's go ahead and do ungroup. So if I have ungroup, I have these 3 things, right? But because we have not created relationships, right? So basically, if we upload this, EditorX will understand that this content is together, that this content is together, and that this content is together. But we want it to understand, it can't separate. What it will try to do is like, okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 assets together. And then it will try to create its own relationships between it. And it will again throw all of that together in a weird way in EditorX that we don't want to have to clean up EditorX's mess. So we help ourselves by saying, okay, we've already separated and told EditorX, by doing this, we're helping organize things for when it gets into EditorX. So to go another step in terms of better organization, we're going to take this menu frame, this text and image frame, and our slider frame, and we're going to create another frame. I'm going to go Alt-A, that's PC user, or excuse me, I think it's Shift-A, my bad guys. Shift-A to create a frame to group all of that stuff together. Now saying basically, all right, all this stuff, please put together, but also EditorX will understand there are 3 different relationships inside of that frame. So for example, let's do this, just so you guys can see. So I'm going to ungroup this. And then, again, this is not the right way. So I have my background here, I have my menu, I have this second piece of content, and this third piece of content, 3rd row. I'm going to upload this. And I'm going to show you guys, again, this is the wrong way to do it. Let's go ahead and run, get started. Again, it grabs all my content, export to editor. I'm going to paste my Figma URL. And again, this is the wrong way to, you can do it this way, but it's a big cleanup. It's a big cleanup. Let me see. Okay, I'm saying, so you select each section and then make another frame to hold all those sections to separate it from the, yes. So basically how I'm making decisions is based on, I'm like, okay, relationships that I want to make, and also putting things in frames to separate things that shouldn't go together. Because EditorX is all about making relationships, visual relationships. If you guys are familiar with containers, auto layout, things like that in Figma, it's the same way kind of with EditorX. Okay, so let me see. Let me just look here. So if we go to the layers, and if you guys see like some things with like, I'll show you guys how to fix this. Okay, let's go to our layers here really quick. So we have this is our slider container. This is our text and shoe. and this is our menu, right? Let's just get those in order so we are contextualized. And so here, now this is our background gradient. Okay, so better organized than what we had over, let's close this, over here. This was a hot mess. If you guys can see this now, this kind of just threw everything everywhere. This is a little organized. It looks very accurate and close to what we have in Figma. Now for another one, let's actually go to the one that we want to use for today, which is this one. I'm just gonna put a green thing over it so I know that this is the right one, because me talking all this, you know, so quickly, I'll forget. I'll be like, this is the one. All right, this is what we're using today. Okay, now let's open this one in Figma, or excuse me, in Editor X. So boom, get started. Samantha says, I love that it has the ability to compartmentalize for ease of conversion. Exactly. KM says, so the background will come as an image by itself away from the layers when it exported to Editor X. Yes, if you, I have it as a group, and I'll explain that in a second. So boom, boom, export. All right, well, this is getting set up. I'll explain why it came in as an image, and it's because I put it in a group. If you group things in Figma and bring it into Editor X, it actually turns it into an image, which is sometimes helpful, but if you don't know, you know, if you don't know that, you could get in a little bit of a sticky situation. All right, PYP says, makes sense. KM says, how should we set up the background gradient? Okay, so let's talk about the gradient. So if I don't, I'm gonna just close this because it's doing its thing on the other screen. So I believe the original gradient is here, right? So let me go ahead and pull this out. Okay, this was the original actually it's right here. This was the original approach to the gradient. Oh, actually I lied. This was, here we go. Okay, so if I have this gold gradient here, it's simply a rectangle that has a linear gradient in here. Editor X, because it doesn't have gradients yet, you have to build your gradient and then import it as either a PNG or a JPEG. If you upload a gradient, it will immediately take the most solid color and just make it like a full solid color block, which is why I had to export this. I just went to export rectangle 1. I turned it into an image, and then I put it here. I simply put it inside of this background piece here. And so this gradient thing, so here we have our gradient piece here. This thing on top of it, this is simply just a texture, okay? And I've grouped it. The reason I've grouped it is because I want both this image here. And honestly, if I wanted to be a little bit smarter, I would export this, right? If I want to be a little bit smarter, I would go to export. I would call this shoe texture. And we actually might do that just so we have an even smoother build out in Editor X. So we have this shoe texture. I'm going to just pull this out. We have a proper JPEG here. And I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to actually select this group here. And I'm going to right click. And I'm going to paste and replace. There we go. And I'm going to go to the, here we go. And I'm just going to reduce, oh, hold up. I replaced the wrong thing, guys. There you go, boom. This mask. Paste and replace, there we go. Okay, so now I have an image of this is our shoe texture. And this is gold gradient. So basically I'm showing you guys like the smarter way of doing this. Like if you have images that you've created or assets that you've created in Figma, just flatten them. Export them, put them back into the thing, or put them back into your work, and then bring them into Editor X. I kind of didn't do all that because I was doing all this today, but that's the proper workflow. Okay. Let's see. Just reading the comments, guys, here. Cam, is it better to have all your image files associated with the Figma file, or can you simply copy and paste the images in Figma? You can copy and paste your images in Figma. All right, so let's actually get, so we've gotten through all of this. We have our main frame, in our main frame, we have our menu row, our text and shoe row, and our slider row. Perfect. And underneath that, we have our background half gradient, and inside there we have our shoe texture, and then we have our gold gradient. Okay, so we've simplified everything. We've made some of the assets in Figma, and then just to keep it clean, we've exported it and imported it back in so that when we export it to Editor X, it's a lot cleaner, and Editor X doesn't have to deal with masks and stuff like that. Okay, so I'm gonna click my frame that I want to export, go to my recent Editor X plugin, hit run, hit get started. We have all, again, like always, as I said before, our typography, our styles, our colors, my media, and my shapes. And I might want to do one more thing. Is I'm going to copy this piece here, and I'm going to export this as a SVG, because we're going to be needing this right now. It's not a collective asset. We want to export this button as an SVG because we're going to need it later. So I'm going to call this button SVG. Okay. And I'm going to have to just import that manually because this will be brought into Editor X as a simple image. Okay, so let's go back. Sorry guys, I keep going back and forth, back and forth. I'm just trying to optimize this. I've already done this like twice this morning, and the first time I did it, it was pretty good. Second time I did it, I found like more optimizations I can do. So I'm just making sure that I set this up for you guys in the best way possible. Actually, it was already here. But before we do this, because I just made some changes, so I want to make sure it's the best. So I'm going to go back, Figma file, URL. All right, we're going to go through that whole thing again. And thanks for your patience, guys. But also, Kimberly, great questions, because a lot of that, it's really important to know how to set up your Figma file. You know, how to make sure that your frames, how to set up your frames, how to make sure that your instead of having masked assets, right? Go ahead and create the site here. You know, it's always better to have, if you have images or assets that you've created in Editor X, when you bring it, or excuse me, in Figma, when you bring it into Editor X, they will either be brought in as PNGs or JPEGs. If you want SVGs, you're gonna have to export from Figma those assets you made to SVGs and then bring them back into Figma. If that makes sense. Okay. Anytime, Soli. Okay. 100% good. Okay, so now we can start playing with this. It's properly organized. So let's look at the organization of these layers here. This is exactly what I want. Okay, this is exactly similar to Figma. So we have our main container. This is our main frame. So name that correctly. And this is our background gradient. Perfect. Has the same file structure, or the same, how do we say, as the same layer framework as our Figma file. So we know where everything is, and everything's gonna be a lot more organized. Because with Editor X, all it is, and even just in web design, right? It's all about boxes, how you want those things positioned, and how you want those things to respond based on different constraints we give them. So now that the containers, the boxes are correct, now we just have to give everything the proper constraints and rules to abide by to make everything responsive. And that's really all it is to it. We design in Figma, we make sure that everything has the correct relationships, bring it into Editor X, and then we just tweak the relationships to make it responsive for web. Isaac says, great stuff. I hadn't thought about the SVGs yet, although I'm personally using UI kits to start a file to export to EditorX so what they include is automatically transferred. Beautiful, my friend. All right, so let me go ahead and name these. So we have our slider, we have our text and text and shoe, and this will be our menu. Now, some of you guys will probably be looking at the menu and being like, Brandon, why are things repeating? That's totally fine. Again, the main thing of what we need to get right is the design and the relationships in EditorX, because the tweaking of how things respond and how tweaking the relationships happens in EditorX. So this is actually pretty simple to fix. All this is it's come in right. It's just come in with relationships that we need to tweak. So it's added a whole bunch of margin that we don't really need. It's come in with 32% margin from on both left and right, and we're just gonna reduce this. We're gonna do about 30 here, and we're gonna do the same over here, 30 over here. And as you guys can see, we get a little bit more space with our text. We're gonna select our imagery here, and as you guys can see, the background, it's got a fill on it. So I'm gonna just go to our design tab here, turn off the background, and this image is also in a container. And I'm just gonna turn the background off on that. Now, if I really wanted, does this really need to be in a container? It really doesn't. And I can decide to pull it out of that. And you know, there's a lot of optimization. If I wanted to, I could do in EditorX. And I also wanted to let you guys know that if you're brand new to EditorX, we have tons of beginner courses, tutorials, etc. on our YouTube channel. It's our very first playlist when you go to our channel, and like, you know, if not that, go to EditorX Academy or Academy X, and there's tons of things to get you started. But you know, we like our tutorials because we give you guys not only tutorials, but we give you the assets to follow along and get a gist of kind of, you know, how this stuff works. But just, you know, if you have any questions, feel free to ask as well. Kim says, I also noticed that EditorX file that you generated gave 2 different breakpoints, 2 desktop and a mobile one. Oh, you know what? That's a great question. So we're going to actually fix that first. So what Kimberly is referring to is right here. And this depends on, right? So what I exported here, it is a 1920 by 1142, which actually should be 1080. But to make sure, which doesn't matter once it's in EditorX, it kind of is smart for us. So what we need to do, and I'm going to show you guys what this should actually look like. I'm going to open up one of our past sites, and I'm going to show you what it should look like and how we can change it. All right, so let's go to edit site. This is one of our last projects that we did live. Okay, so what if you guys ever get, I'm going to close some of these are the ones that we don't want. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to close this. And I want to rename this, but we'll do that in a little bit. Okay, as you guys can see in this area here, it shows a desktop, a tablet, and a mobile, where in the website that we had just uploaded, we see a desktop, and a mobile. So we're going to change the breakpoints, and how we do that here is we simply go to these 3 dots and we just edit the scale in which our mid-tier breakpoint goes up to. So instead of 1919, we're going to set this to 1000. So now, and this is just the default. If you open up a new EditorX site, you will get by default these 320 to 750, 51 or 751 to 1000, and 1001 and up. Those are the default breakpoints that I feel everybody should work on. So we're basically just on the get-go, just resetting the breakpoints. So thank you so much, Kimberly. Let me see. Kimberly, you know, that's a great question. Why doesn't Figma have 1920 by 1080 by default? honestly, I remember talking with some people about like, it's just like different standards. Like, we should be designing for people who have like laptops and scale from there. So it's a different kind of mentality. So, okay. So we can recognize we have everything here. We have our gradient back there. Perfect. Our image is showing out. All of our assets are where we want them to be. Now let's work on the relationships of things. Like, for example, I think the menu is a little too big. If we look at the inspector, it shows the minimum height is a 117. I'm going to set this to none. I'm actually going to force the height to be 100 pixels. And as you guys can see, it is forced to be 100, but now the content inside needs to be edited as well. And so instead of actually editing the main container, and I'm going to name these two. So we have our menu, perfect. I'm going to go one layer inside here. Let's see. I'm going to name some of these things. So we have this container. This is our middle menu. I'm just going to call it that. And I'm going to set the minimum height to this to be 100. Oh, excuse me. Not this. We're going to set this to none. Height should be 100. Now with this image, I want to, for this, I kind of want to relieve, I don't want this container. So I'm going to actually pull the image out of the container so that in this middle section, we have our image, we have our 4 pieces of text, or basically our links, and we have our image. So first off, let's go ahead and set our width for this to be 70. There we go. And we are going to now set all of our content, our text here. We're just going to center align them here. Okay. We're going to do the same for our vector art here. And when we go into this, so I'm going to go to my layers and I'm going to look at kind of what's going on here. This is exactly what I mean, where sometimes it's just better to upload a SVG. So if we take a look at this, for this image that I made in Figma, it brought in the hourglass and it also brought in the container or the vector art that's within it, which is that circle. So what I would opt to do, and we can go back and forth on this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just select this group here, and I'm just going to export that. And this will be our search SVG. And I'm going to do that to our 2 pieces over here as well. Select them both, export both layers, and I'm going to just put them in my downloads just for quick access. And what I want to do here, I could keep this if I wanted to, but it's going to be in the pain in the butt to constantly just deal with. Again, this is a case where I would, after I made these, if I wanted to keep everything in Figma and just export it one time, I would export these puppies as SVGs and bring them back in. And I think I just exported them as PNGs. So SVGs, export 2 layers in my downloads. Yes, please. And same thing for this. Export as SVG. Thank you very much. Let's see. Amit is asking, is this tutorial going to be available after the stream is over? Yes, it is, because this is going to be a long one. This might be an hour and a half, and I think we're like almost 40 minutes in. Kimberly, do I recommend 19 by 20? I personally just like working in, what's it called? Let me just name this first. I like working in 1920 by 1080. It feels like I got more space. I think it's a preference, honestly, especially if we're just designing and then we're bringing that into Editor X. It really doesn't matter at that point. Search SVG. Okay. All right, so for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this container. Or first, before I even do that, let me go ahead and go to my assets or my media really quick. I'm just going to upload those 3 things that I just exported from Figma. Dun, dun, dun. We're in downloads. All right, so these are 3 bits. A vector file cannot contain an embedded image. All right, I don't get that. I don't understand. Okay. Hold on, guys. We're having a little technical difficulty. That should not be a problem. Search, what is this? Let me try that again. Just the one this time. A vector file cannot. Oh, I see what I'm. Okay, because the I know why. Because this isn't. This is just legitimately. This is not an SVG. That's why. This is vector. This is not vector. That's why it's a problem. Okay. I guess we'll just do PNG for the sake of right now, guys. Just bear with me. All right, we already have those. See, this is what happens when I try to do a whole bunch of new things and then I don't account for like any of them. Andrew Coe says, I am late. My friend, you are not late. This is going to be recorded, and this is, you know, we've moved past all the Figma stuff, but this is a really good time for you to ask questions if you so desire, or throughout the process. So I'm just going to bring in my PNG. I'm going to remove this whole container piece, and I'm just going to replace it with our image. I'm just going to make it flush left, make it centered, and I'm going to do the same thing over here as well. We have a container here. I'm gonna just delete that. And we have another container here with our other image. And so we have a container here. I'm actually gonna make it a 2x1. And I'm gonna quick add our image. Or not quick add, I'm gonna select this container, go to my assets here, our media, and I'm gonna just pull out our cart. I'm going to attach it inside of the container here. Boom. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to actually hold Control D to duplicate it. Open up my inspector, and I'm going to move. If you guys see this icon is in between both of these grid cells. I'm going to just move it over to the right and center align it so you guys can see this. And I'm going to move. I want the height of these to actually be 50 pixels. I want it to be 50 pixels by 50 pixels. Same with this, 50 pixels by 50 pixels. All right, and I'm just gonna change the image from the cart to the person. There we go. So I'm gonna come in here and I am going to make it so that each one of these containers, I want the container width to match the exact same, I want it to be the same width of the asset that is in it. So instead of giving it some random fraction, which is, you know, basically 1 FR and 1 FR, it's just like, okay, this container is this long, please make each grid cell half or 1 fraction. So I'm gonna go and set this to max content. Both of them, max content. I want them to take the width of the content within it. And you guys can see a little bit of extra, there's a little bit of extra space over here to the right. And we're gonna try to figure out what that is really quick. First off, I'm gonna undock this from the left. I want it to only be docked to the right. Let's go up and check the width. Now, if I had this docked to the left, take a look at this. I actually cannot edit my width, which is a problem. So I undock from the left because I only want it to be docked to the right, meaning I only want it when things scale. I only want it to have a relationship with the right hand side and the bottom of the container it's within. And I'll explain that a little bit more. We'll go to the width And instead of being a percentage, I'm going to set to max content. So it says, hey, there's things inside of me as a container. What is the width of those things? Let's just conform to that. So now everything is nice and snug within it. And I'm going to go to my gaps here. Everything's a little tight here, so I'm just going to add about 10 pixels of gap between them. Return the container back to the left and centered. There we go. All right, looking back at the chat because I see it running really fast. All right, let's see. Groce says, can you please explain to me the ChatGPT? So what I have done here, so it actually is nothing too crazy. So how I use ChatGPT for this particular project is I simply, hopefully it's available. Okay. So all I did was I asked it, create a title for a website I am building. That is about a luxurious shoe brand. Can you please list out the following? The name of the brand, the heading of the should be on the brand's website homepage. Oops. And basically I did that and then also added like the subcopy as well. So I used ChatGPT to generate the copy for the site. So it wasn't anything too intricate. And I also, if you want to rewind a little bit into the live stream, I talk about how I use Adobe Firefly, which is another AI platform, to generate the assets that we're using. These shoes. So these shoes were generated by Adobe Firefly. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question. ChatGPT was usually literally just to create the title, the sub headline, and the body copy. And that was really it. Okay, let me go to. I lost my place. All right, let me close this. Yeah, but it gives a list of brand names, headings for the homepage, and that's essentially what I use for the website because I'm not great at copy. All right, hold on. I missed something. Taya says, how long I've been designing websites? I have been a UI UX designer for 10 years. Quite a long time. All right, let's see. If you keep at it, Editor X starts to get easier and finally adapt. Same with Figma, exactly. Let's see. Dun, dun. All right, sweet. Awesome. Cool. Glad that helps out. All right, now let's continue working on relationships. So we have one of our images up. Let's go ahead and we've done the same over here. Cool, we've got our container. Now what I wanna do, this is really important. So we have 3 sections essentially with our menu here. We have a right, a left, and stuff in the center. And we've we've created relationships with that. One of the things I do want to check is, as you guys see, as things start to collapse, we'll figure that out. I'll show you guys how this works, but I think the menu is pretty good. I do want to fix this. Okay, I'll show you guys how to fix the menu, and plus we're gonna be using a hamburger menu, so these are gonna pull out anyway. But these did not resize because they are fixed 50 pixels, where this is set to a percentage. And I know a lot of you guys have questions on when to set things to a percentage and when to set them to a fixed pixel width and height. This is an example. We want this to stay a particular size, so we're gonna go ahead and set this to pixels and set the width to be 50. Cool, so when we start to scale, it will stay the same size. Now with this, we're gonna try to organize this so things don't get scrunched. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is we've selected this container. We're gonna set these margins to be really, really low. So like 10%, and we might do 10% over here. There we go. But what we need to do is we need to also make sure that this content, basically these text pieces, we need to make sure that they have good relationships as well. And I think one of the easiest ways to do this is just to add a grid as a grid. So we have 5 items here. We have the logo, the community, the product, the accessories, popular. And so we're just going to set 5 columns here. Hit apply. And we're essentially going to give text, or these pieces of text, their own cell to live in. And I'm going to undock from the left and right. And we're simply just going to align them to center. And we're going to set the width on each one of these text elements to be max content here. So we're undocking everything, docking to center, making sure that the text is in the correct grid cell here. Make sure that this is just in this grid cell. Undock. We're going to set this puppy to max content. And max content basically just says, hey, however long the word is, just make it that width. That way we don't have to like push and pull on the box. We don't want to do that math. It's a pain in the butt. So undock, undoing the relationships, align to center, width, max content, perfect. So now we have all of the words, all of our text links within our grid cell in the center of each one of these grid cells. Now, if I really wanted to, just like we did with other content, all these FRs, I could set them to be max content, and if I wanted, and we'll just see what that looks like just really quick. Max content, max content. And I think I might only do that for, we're going to set this to, we're going to set the logo to something else, but for all the words we're going to set to max content. Oopsies. And I did see the chat. Oopsies. So this, oh, we didn't do it to this. So we need to do max content here. And then we're gonna go back to the container. Boom. That grid cell set to max content, perfect. And last one, max content right here. Perfect. Okay, now for this last piece up here, we still have this fraction. I'm gonna set this to a very specific percentage. Let's go ahead and let's do 15% for now. See what that looks like. All right, that does not look bad. Now I am a little confused where all of the, oh, I thought it got deleted. Okay, I was like, where'd the other words go? But essentially they're just really tiny, or they're not tiny, but they're the same color as the background. That's why it looks like it disappeared. I am now going to I'm going to undock these puppies too as well, because now we want to actually dictate what the width of this element is here. We're going to go ahead and set this to max content for now. And let's try. What if we did 50%? Let's try 50%. 50%. No, we just got to do max content. And this is what we'll do. So we'll go to our gaps here, and we'll do 25 just to give our spacing. And I'm going to look at the chat really quick. Okay. KM says, does Figma have any plans to have a plugin to convert EditorX to Figma? I don't know. That would be great because a lot of additions happen to the site. Yeah, I know. I think it would be just smarter to just, after something is designed, all your things, you would just need to edit in EditorX. But I catch your drift. Andrico says, it would be nice if you over as a freelance certificate for those that are present here. Oh, if you offer us a free certificate course for those who are present here. Maybe there might be something like that in the future. I have been thinking about it, but I don't necessarily know how to go about it. I know there's some legal ramifications in terms of like certificates, but I'll have to figure that out. That's a great suggestion. Okay, now one of the things that I do see is an issue is this product thing is a little, it's kind of like it's pushing out a little bit, and I don't know why. So what I might do is, we have this set to max content, which is fine. Max content, 15. Let's try this. So instead of max content, let's see what percentage this is. What if I did 40? And then let's think here really quick. This is part of the whatchamacallit, guys. This is part of the troubleshooting. It's like, okay, I did something's not working. Why is that? I would have thought that it was maybe padding. But we have all this stuff is max content, sure. If we set this to max content, that should also be fine. Maybe it's just a little bit of something that I haven't. We'll see if it actually, it's not broken anything, and I think it will be fine too. Yeah, because once we get the tablet, we'll fix it, so it's fine. So that's looking okay. All right, so now let's go into the next section. All right, and actually before we do that, one of the things that I do want to do, as you guys remember, in our main, we have our main frame, right? Again, for organization purposes, if you remember, we have 3 rows of content. We have our slider. I'm going to pull this down here so it goes from top to bottom. We have our menu. We have our text and shoe, and we have our slider. And as you guys can see, these dotted lines, EditorX is kind of creating its own relationships and how things should move and or function. To better help EditorX, we're actually going to click on mainframe, and instead of having a 1 by 1, we're going to actually create physically those 3 rows that content belongs in. So our menu, and as you guys can see, there's now like little white lines inside of our main frame. So we have one section here, another section here, and another section here, and we're just going to place our slider, our text and shoe, and our menu rows in the correct rows. So let's start with the slider. We're going to go to our inspector. We're going to, right now, it's in both of our middle and bottom rows. We're just going to put it in our bottom row here. And we're going to undock this too. We only want it to be docked to the bottom and the left. Or actually, we'll just do to the bottom and the top. Or excuse me, the left and the top. We're going to go to our shoe and text. Right now, it's in all 3 of them. We just want it to be in our middle. We're going to remove some of this unnecessary margin. EditorX is just trying to help us out, but we're telling it, hey, we don't need that. And for our menu here, it is automatically in our topmost grid cell. And now, again, fixing the relationships. We only need 100 pixels here for our main menu. So we're going to select we're currently on our main frame, and we're going to edit the height of this top grid cell. Again, right now it shows 350 pixels. I only want it to conform to the content within it. So we're going to hit max content. Beautiful. As you guys can see, it's shortened up here. And we're going to do that for the rest of the grid cells here. We're going to select. Not pixels, not the 353. We're going to go to max content. So it understands, hey, there's things inside of me. I'm just going to be the height of everything that is within it already. And we'll go ahead and fix this stuff too. This stuff is easy. Don't worry about the kind of like the overcrossing and all those things. And then this last bit here, we're going to do the same. All this space we don't necessarily need just yet, so we're going to go ahead and go from the 353 to max content. And there we go. So now we have officially gone from Figma. We've created all the relationships that we want, and now we've kind of created the physical rows that all of our content should be in. So our menu is in a grid cell by itself. Our text and shoe is in a grid cell by itself. How do we know that? We go to our inspector and we see it's in the middle grid cell. Our slider is in the bottom grid cell of our main container. All right. Looking back at the chat. All right, cool. Let me know if you guys are with me, or if you want me to pause on something. Now that we kind of have that done, our menu is done for desktop. Let's move to the next section here, getting these aligned and kind of looking a little bit better to what we want. So if you guys have been watching our live streams, we do not like stacks. And Editor X tried to take our auto frame, which was smart and is the proper thing to do. It turned all of this into our heading, our subheading, and our body paragraph. It turned it into a stack of 3, which is awesome. But I want a little bit more of editability, more customization, and a little bit more control. So I'm going to unstack this and put it in a container with 3 rows and 1 column. So I'm going to unstack. And when I unstack, what it does is it just, let me show you what it looks like before. So before, we just have our stack. It's in here. All right. This was what came over from Figma. And what was in Figma was in a frame, an auto layouter frame. And within that, we have our heading, another, what's we call it? This was another frame within it. And then we had our body copy. So I'm unstacking this. And by unstacking it, it pulls everything out of that stack. So now we have just these 3 elements just free. But we want to contain them again. So I'm going to select our body copy, our container here, holding shift, and our heading. And instead of stack, I'm going to hold Alt C, or basically it's place in container. Okay, so now I have my container, and I'm going to do the same thing that we did with our main frame, but with this container. We're going to create 1 column, 3 rows. So I'm going to click over here, 3 rows, and I'm going to place each element within its own row. So Luxor shoes, its own row. We're going to grab this container, make sure that it is in the middle grid cell, and this body, it's in the 3rd row. So now all I want to do, again, we're going to take out the excess space. First off, we're going to take this heading here, and we're going to reduce some of the automatic spacing it has in here by setting the spacing to 1 EM. I learned that yesterday. Don't ask me what it does, but it takes out the additional spacing because otherwise it's on auto. So just think about it as like line height. All right. So what we're going to do here is, again, we're going to take out the additional space. So right now this row has 126 pixels height. We don't want to do math. We just want it to look at the content within it and say, take that height. So we're going to set to max content, and we're going to do that for the rest of the 3 rows, or the other 2 rows. Max content. And the reason that this didn't probably smash together is because there's additional margin in here. There we go. I want to dock this to the top. And this last section here, max content. Okay, so now there's still extra space in here. Why? It's because we have this minimum height here set to a pixel height. We're going to set this to none. There we go. And all that extra space is gone. I'm going to remove this extra margin because we don't need that. And now we're going to go ahead and deal with this section here. Now, how I want this to work is I want there to be a half for the text and a half for the line. And so how we're going to do that is, first off, we're going to go ahead and set this entire width to be 100%. There we go. So we have basically this container. If we looked at it before, it stopped right here, and it's because we had it set to a width of 82% of this main container that we have here. Okay, we don't want that. We want this to be full 100% to go the full width. And the next thing we want to do here is the minimum height, we're gonna set this to, we should be able to pull that out, none. There we go. And now what we want to do, like I said, 1/2 for the text, 1/2 for that line. Instead of a 1x1, we're going to do a 2x1. And just like we've done before, we're going to set the text to be in the left only. And this line, if I can click it, it's already in our right here, but we want to set this to be 100%. And why we can't edit the width is because we are docked to the left and right. I only want to be docked to the left, or to the right here. And I'm going to set this to 100. There we go. Center it. And now let's work on this text here. We have some extra docking. We have it docked to the left, the right, and to the top. Don't need all that. We only want to dock to the left and to the top. So we're going to undock this. We're going to now able to edit the width. We're going to set this to 100%. And we're going to go to our design tab, and we're going to reduce the text size until everything is on one line. So we're going to do about 22 pixels in size. And I also want to scale, I want to have this be a scale text so that when the viewport gets stretched, the text and the size of the text actually changes based on the viewport width. So scale text. I'm going to set the max text to be 22 and the minimum to be maybe 18. There we go. Now this you see all this extra space here? Same thing. Instead of width 100, we're going to set this to max content. Beautiful. And we don't want all this extra space here. So instead of 1FR, we're going to set this to max content here. Perfect. So now everything is starting to get a little bit more slimmed down. Or everything kind of fits together a little bit better. Now I'm going to go and select the container again. We have a specific height here, which we don't want, which is why there's some extra space. So I'm going to select this height here. It says minimum 37 pixels. I'm going to drop that to max content. So we get out all that extra space. We're pressing all the air out the bread bag. And I'm just going to make sure, all right, we're looking good. Now the line is a little bit close to the text. So all we're going to do is we're going to select that container. And as we've done pretty much everything before, to make space is using our gaps here. So we're going to go ahead and type in about 15 pixels. There we go. So now we have that space. Now all this stuff is kind of close, right? So just like we did with the line and the text, we're going to do for our gaps, but instead of horizontally, vertically. So 15 pixels here, we get those nice little lines in between all that content, and we're looking good. Are you guys with me? How we doing? For this other bit, again, we're just going to set this to about 80%. And this stuff is kind of running into our shoe a little bit. So what I might want to do is pull this out just a little bit. And you see how the shoe is scaling? We don't want that. So I'm going to select my shoe. I'm going to undock it from the left because I only want it to stay to the right. And maybe we'll just keep it to the right here. We'll remove this margin here. And now when I pull this out, it's still scaling because we did not change the width. We're going to set this to pixels. All right, cool. Sully says yes. Isaac says live masterclass here. Very nice. Loving it. Okay. Digging it, Isaac. All right. So we're still getting, why is it scaling here? Let's figure this out. Oh, because we still haven't. All right, pixels, please. All right, let's try this out. Okay, there we go. So now we can push and pull this where we want. And as you guys can see here, this line, because of how we set it up, it's actually scaling with the container it's within. but we don't want it to be, we don't actually want that container to scale like that. So this width, we have it as a percent and it's scaling, but we actually want it to, instead of a fraction, we're also going to set this to be max content. So what I want to make sure here is I'm going to set all of my text elements except for our, what's going to call it here, except for our body copy, we're going to set to max content. So max content, actually I lied, we're not going to do max content. I'm going to set my container to be a fixed pixel width here. So it stays, and the only way, there we go, it should stay like that. All right, let me see, let's go to the full thing. Let me think. Okay. I know what I want to do. All right. So again, this is like, a lot of this is not like A plus B equals C. A lot of this stuff, there's many different ways to get an even better result. So when the first time I did this, I did not have a grid container in here. There's a lot of different ways I can do this. Well, for example, like I just fixed this container size to be 640. And I just made it so that when I expand this container, the only thing that moves is this shoe. What I'm thinking about now is actually making this grid or this container not be a 1x1, but a 2x1. So that I can set this to be 100%. This container, I can set this to be 100% if I wanted, or 80. Let's do 90. And it will always stay in that grid cell and it will not cross over unless I tell it to into this area here, which helps with, as you guys can see, they won't cross over. The shoe will cross over into this area here, but this will start to, what's it call it? Compress. So let's go ahead and do, this is 90%. I can pull this over to the left and I can actually make it negative here. So I want you guys to know, like, I've done this a couple times, but every time I've done it, I've thought about it a little bit better. I'm like, oh, this is actually really cool. I can do this a little bit. NF, sweet. Finally got to join one of these live classes. Thank you. NF, thank you so much for joining. I'm glad that you have been able to make it. How have you been? And so here, I kind of do want this shoe to cross over just a little bit. Or maybe we don't. Maybe this is fine. Maybe that works perfectly. And then this way, we can just set this to be 100 here. Nice. Isaac says wrap. I don't know what that means, but I'll take it. All right, so far so good. Our stuff is squeezing. We're on our way to our tablet. Now, I want to make sure here this menu bit did not compress like I thought it would. So let's go to this container here. I've got this to max content. A lot of this stuff is troubleshooting, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's see what's going on here. So I'm just gonna have this dock to the top and we'll see what's happening there. Let's try to push this in. It looks like something is stopping it from coming closer. Container, container. Let's think. Because this stuff easily should be coming in and it's not. Let me do a quick refresh. NF says, excellent, busy making that dollar. I love it. I think Isaac was referring to the word you were trying to think. Oh, gotcha. He probably was. All right, so there's something funky. It's squeezing, but only to a certain degree. And this is not working anymore. So something must have happened. Let's go to my layers really quick. Let's go to my mainframe. Minimum height, let's set that to none. Our width is 90%. Oopsies. Let's think. I'm gonna set this to 5% because that's bothering me. Nah, we'll keep it at 4 or 4. All right, let's figure it out. Let's figure it out. All right, let me try to grab this and. All right, so that is doing its thing. But why is it pausing? That means something is fixed. Let's don't display this background piece. Leech is saying, Brandon or anyone here, what platform would you recommend for the best online store, small or medium? Alicia, you know what I'm about to say. I would say play with Editor X. You know, I think it's, if you haven't talked to what's his name, How Play, he does in our community, he does a ton of like that's all he does is e-commerce stores in Editor X. Other things, the only reason I say that too is because we have a community that can help you in that area. Otherwise, I have no idea, to be honest with you. But I'm a little flabbergasted at this piece here, and why it's not 1FR. Can we do a %? Excuse me. Because this does its job. Like, this is exactly how it should be behaving here. Right? But something is making it to not do that. And I can't think what it would be. Thank you, NF. I highly appreciate it. So, for those of you guys who are curious how to join the community is down in the description, or you can go to editorx.tv. As you guys can see, I believe it's right over here. But all the links to everything are down in the description. But let me see. Yeah, this is... It's no bueno. Let me try something. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to make a new section. All right, see, that works. See, that is like what I expect it to do. So that means that what it's within is a problem. What if we did this? Oopsies. Yeah, maybe what we need to do is, let's try. Because Because I'm like, do I remove the mainframe? That wouldn't make any sense. Well, let's just try this. I'm going to take the menu out of the mainframe, or I'm going to don't display this. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to put it in the section. I'm going to pull it all the way to the top. I'm going to make it 80%. Maybe make a 4.4% thing here. And then try 90. All right, let's see if this works. That should skip. All right, the same problem. And I wonder, I bet it has something to do with this background thing. So let me don't display, or let me do this. So I'm gonna dock it over here, undock it there. Let's go to preview. No. Let's go back. Let me just turn it off. It might be this. Because something is telling width 1. Oh, maybe this is it. Percentage. Set this to 90. I think I found the issue. All right, let's go ahead, put our background back on. There we go. Okay. I don't remember putting a pixel thing on that. All right, so I'm going to turn off this menu. I'm going to put back the other one. Just need a little bit of troubleshooting, guys. There we go. All right, that's coming in exactly how it should for the mobile or for the tablet. All right. And now for this background piece here, I do want to expand it to that hole. So I'm going to expand this piece. Boom. And same thing with this image. Expand. Okay. Although I don't see it. There we go. Okay. It's just the layers. Oh, exactly. Alicia, it's just the Discord. Alicia, you're so patient. I'm losing it sometimes with the troubleshooting. Alicia, this is I'm chill because I'm live. Trust me. There are times where I'm like decimating my computer. But I totally get you. All right, finally. I knew it was something. I was like, there is a simple reason why this is not working. But this is all right. This is perfect. All right. So as you guys can see, everything is nicely kind of coming together here. This stacks nicely. All right. Boom, boom, boom. We're coming into, and one of the things that I want to do too is I feel like I want to have this text scale too. So we have 18 at max, and maybe it'll go down to like 16 at minimum. So we start coming down, boom. And I honestly, I think this is as much as I want things to kind of, I want to set some constraints here. Like I don't want this to go any smaller. I feel like if we do, it's going to be weird. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to set a max width or minimum width. I'm going to set that to pixels. So it will not go smaller than 392. Okay, so I'm going to set that parameter there. And I might actually, I'm going to set this to none really quick. So I'm gonna do right about, maybe right here. Minimum pixels 333, perfect. So that it will stop right there. So that's what I mean by constraints, guys. So now we're in tablet here, or let's see, boom. All right, we're looking good. I might extend this a little bit more, so we'll set this to 95%. Okay, give it some more breathing room away from this text. And now we got to work on this slider. So this slider is the next thing we haven't really built. We're gonna have to build this totally differently. So we have the images in here, right? But if we want to make a true slider, we're gonna have to produce a layouter. And to do that, I am going to, for now, I'm gonna copy this entire container, Control C, and I am going to take this container, this whole thing, and I'm gonna hit Don't Display. Okay, I'm gonna go to my plus over here. I'm gonna grab a layouter. I'm gonna pull it right in here. And I'm gonna make sure that it is in Did the mainframe go away? Oh, here we go. Okay, I want it to be in our mainframe here, because I need it to be in layouter. I'm gonna Control X it really quick. Go to my mainframe, paste it in, and I'm gonna make sure it goes into my third row here and is left aligned. There we go. Now instead of mosaic, I want to do our slides. And each slide, I'm going to set this to a 3x1. And I'm going to pull this out to be our layouter. We're going to do about like 50 or 60%. There we go. And what we're going to do in here is I'm going to add back in, I'm going to go back to my layers here. I'm going to turn on my slider. I'm going to pull my layouter right underneath our slider because I want to pull our content out here again. So copy, perfect. Go back to my layers. Turn off my slider. Don't display. Go back to my layouter. In my item, I'm going to paste this, and I'm going to move it all the way to the leftmost grid cell here. I'm going to set the percentage to be 100%. There we go. And I'm going to increase the height of our layouter here. So our minimum height, we're going to set to 300 so things don't get cropped, or our container doesn't get cropped. So I'm going to set this to the bottom here. 0. There we go. I'm going to turn off the background of the layouter. 0. Yeah, Alicia, I totally missed when you saw, or when you wrote the XD thing. But yeah, I just, sometimes you just learn to be patient. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I want to make sure that I have, what's it called? Actually, there might be an easier way to do this too. I could have a layouter and inside of it a repeater. I think that's what we might do. So I might do a 1, and I'm going to actually Control X, Control cut that. Inside, I'm going to pull out a repeater. Repeater, where you at? All right, boom. Attach it to this. I'm going to expand it. Now inside of these items, I'm going to paste. Beautiful. All right, items, background, opacity 0. And now what I can do here is I'm going to turn off the scrolling component of our repeater. We're gonna have 3 items in each row. Perfect. Set items per row. Perfect. Cards. Yeah, we can do cards. That's fine. And then what are we gonna do? I think that, okay, that's fine. All right, so now all we have to do is we can change our images here. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll just update the shoes and make sure that we reset the image as we update each one. Okay. And some of these, let's see. All right. Some of these are a little, I haven't figured this out just yet. Oh, actually it's because it's the repeater size. Okay, let's go to the repeater. Either the repeater or our layouter size. So let's do 70%. Our item. Let's pull this stuff a little bit further in so we can get that full shoe. It's cut off. I want to reset the image, but it's going to change other things. All right. Okay, we'll just do this, guys. Just pretend that that's not cut off. What you would want to do, because I didn't prepare for this, make sure your assets are all the same size. Note to self. Especially when you're doing this. All right. And I think I want to do, yeah, because that's, I did not make sure all the shoes were the same size. Okay, let's pretend they're the same size. I'll have to go and fix that after the fact. Victor, what's going on, man? You are not late. You are just joining the party. Okay, so now we have our repeater in our layouter, and all I want to do is I'm going to duplicate so we have our layouter. Boom, let's manage. I'm going to delete all our other items. So delete. Did I just add one? Oh, I duplicated it. Delete. 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 And delete. Okay. I want to duplicate this. So there's going to be a whole nother set of these. And all I'm going to do is I want to go to our layouter. I'm going to add navigation, so my arrows. I'm going to take a look at these arrows here. And I'm actually going to pull these outside of our slider. So I'm going to do a -50 pixels. There we go. And I'm actually going to change. This is what I was talking about before. So I'm going to take this, change basic shape, upload, and I'm going to pull in that SVG that we made earlier. And actually it might not even be an SVG because we did not. If you guys remember that error that we had earlier, this is just an image. So I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to go to plugins real quick, SVG icons. I'm just typing arrow really quick. No, Arain, you are totally fine. I apologize if I totally butchered your name, but you guys are not late. You're right on point. But welcome. It's glad to have you guys. This will be here even after the live stream, so you guys haven't missed too much. And plus, anything that you guys have questions on, feel free to ask while you're here. All right, so I'm going to pull out. I'm just going to drag this out here. It says it was inserted, but I don't believe. Where is it at? Okay, there it is. All right, so I'm going to copy this. I'm going to replace. All right, there we go. And let's see. Let's scale this down. Pull this out. Okay. So now what I can do is I can now export this puppy as a SVG. So export frame. And now I can export this as the next SVG. But how's your guys' day been so far? Oh, Ariana. There we go. I don't know why I thought that was a difficult name. I just didn't read it all the way through. I'm just so whatchamacallit. I'm trying to focus and keep this under time. Like, I think this is only supposed to be, when did we start? 1? This is now an hour and a half later. Yeah, this was not the plan. All right, so width, let's see what our width is here. So we've got 75. We might just do 75 by 75. 75, height, 75 pixels. All right, cool. Now we do need to flip it. So adjust, flip, there we go. And we are gonna do about like 50 pixels. Let's see where that leaves us. Okay, let's do 100. All right, and we're gonna pull this out by 150 pixels. All right, let's just do 100, negative 100. There we go. Yeah, leave me alone, guys. Thank you, Ariana. I appreciate it. It's just difficult out here. I'm like trying to I'm trying to focus on this. I'm like rushed for time. But no, it's all good. But yes, Ariana. Sorry. Victor, did I create these using AI? Yes, I used Adobe Firefly, the new AI platform that they just launched yesterday. And I created the shoes. I brought them into Photoshop. This is what was created, just to show you guys. So it came up with a whole bunch of these shoes. And I simply just pulled them out using the marquee tool. All right, let me see. But great question. I see a little bit of yellow here, and I don't want to see that. So let me go to items. Let's go to, where's our layouter? I'm gonna pull this in by a little bit. Can I do 250? Let me just pull this up. Oh, it must be the item height. Okay. So let's figure this out. Minimum, let's do 100. Okay. I'm gonna kill that margin. There we go. There's still a little bit of that edge that we got to get rid of. Maybe we can. All right, let's take a look. So we have item 1, item 2. Wonder if we can push this by like 2 pixels. All right, there we go. Sweet. All right, that's how we're gonna get rid of the line. So we've got the king shoes, we got the queen shoes. And we're just gonna call these Hermes shoes. Hermes hose. Hold on, guy. Leave me alone. Jesus. Why isn't this working? It's just y'all setting me up. Also, the wireframe. I think I lost that part. So the wireframe. There really was no wireframe, and you can feel free to rewind or watch it after the session. But we literally took it from this. We used the Editor X. The Editor X plugin. And we hit run, and we are, now we're just kind of like making sure everything is organized. I kind of want to make this arrow not display over here. So let me just preview something really quick because I want to make sure that this dictates. There we go. Perfect. We're just going to get rid of this slider now. We're going to go back to edit. We're going to click on our layouter. Show scroll bar off. Ariana, that makes me feel so happy. This is a design class, not only Editor X. The order of elements fits so well. I am so glad. That makes me feel I'm gonna cry later today. But that's I'm so happy to hear that. Let's see. I'm just gonna fix some of these oopsies. These relationships here. I'm gonna pull these down. Let me see. And I'm sorry about like how some of these things are cut up. I wonder if I should have just used. I honestly should have just exported all the shoes at the same. And maybe we'll do that towards the end to kind of like clean it up. Where I can go into Photoshop and just make sure that everything fits within. Let me do. Something like this. All right, so we got that. It's another shoe, but I don't think I like those shoes, so I'm gonna pull that out. So we got that one. I think that works. I'm just gonna make sure, pull that in just a little bit more. All right, hold on here. Boom, boom. Not that one. This one kind of fits. And then this one, I just gotta make sure. All right, so maybe we'll just do that. I'm gonna export these again. I'm gonna just call these rex 1, rex 2, and rex 3. Select these puppies, right click, quick export as PNG, and to downloads. Says, if I could recommend a tool for practicing the understanding of design, I would look for inspiration from X site. Then I use the CSS Spice Chrome extension. What is that? CSS Spice? It says you can also get all the info you need from the CSS variables and lay out how to copy the design. I'm working on my design skills, and this has helped me a lot. And when you mean the X site, what do you mean? Oh, this is by Kyle. That's awesome. Okay, Kyle. Is this new? All right, I'm gonna reset this. And then I'm gonna change the image, upload media. And I'm gonna grab that shoe that we just. Oh, got you. In whatever site, basically, you mean. And using that plugin. Makes sense. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back to our layouter. Repeater, item, layouter. Go to managing of the items. I'm gonna delete our item here. I'm gonna duplicate our one that we were just editing. I'm gonna add a 2 pixel padding just to move it over a tad. All right. Okay, so we're squeezing, we're looking good. We're now on tablet. On tablet, I'm gonna make sure that this actually resizes. And we're gonna need to work on this. All right, so let's take a look at this. I wanna make sure that this actually looks good. Item, contain, ew, where's my layers? I just need to find the repeater or the layouter. All right, so boom, squeeze. All right, we need to fix. So we're gonna have 27 be the top, and we're going to have 14 be the minimum height or the minimum size of the pixels of the text. Same thing here, 22 at the top, and maybe 16 minimum here. And we also need to fix the relationships. So we have about like 5 whatever percent margin at the top, but it's a little weird because we have this full container. I'm gonna pull out that margin from the top. We don't need that. Or actually, maybe we'll do maybe 20 pixels margin. Okay, maybe not that much, not 20%, 20 pixels. And let's think. This kind of looks like it's almost in the center, and it really shouldn't be. They should be inside of this container. So I'm going to take all these titles, Control X. I'm going to put them in these containers. There we go. So they were just in the wrong thing. I'm going to left align, top align here, and I'm just going to use my arrow keys to just place these where I want. Change the names. The king shoes, the queen shoes, Hermes. Oh, I just moved it all. Hermes shoes. There we go. All right, so we have proper relationship there, and same thing I believe we have to fix with these things because they're not inside of the gold container where we want them to be. So I'm going to Control X to cut them, Control Paste to put them in the correct container so I can set up the correct relationships. Boom, boom, use my arrow keys. And if I want, I can drag this to a line. There we go. Looks good. Okay, so that's looking all right. Let's just make sure as things squeeze. All right, things start to break a little bit. There's a little bit of space in here that we don't want. Same with this. And one thing I want to do is I actually want to make all of these max content. All right, that's set to max content, and then do the same here. Isaac says, know that plugin has been out for a while. That's crazy, man. And all right, minimum height. Let's try to make these a little bit smaller. Let's see if I can squeeze. All right, that looks good. Maybe I can actually extend these a little bit. Longer. All right, let's do this. Control Z, Control Z. I'm gonna make these items, or these containers, a little bit wider. All right, and before I do that, let's get these items here. I wish I could make, and I don't necessarily know how to do it yet, making these a little bit larger, like the items that these sit within. So I'm gonna just set these things to none. Okay. Our item minimum height, set that to none. I'm gonna set this to center. Okay. I'm gonna bring this to the dock this to the top, and I'm gonna have these at 100. Maybe scale the shoes a little bit more. Okay. I'm just kind of playing around with some things, guys. All right. One of the things that I do need to do is I need to make, so these containers here, instead of a 1x1, I think I just need to do a 2x1. Shoes need to be on the right, everything else needs to be on the left. And I need to put these shoes inside of this container as well. So, right side grid, 100%. Right align, top align, and I'm going to add some negative margin here. So negative 20 for the top, so it goes outside of the bounding box. Negative 20 pixels. Negative 20 pixels. All right. Okay. And instead of percent here, I'm going to stick these to pixels to kind of keep that same relationship. All right, boom, 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 looking good. All right, we're tablet. And of course, I could always make these respond a little bit better. So height, we have set to auto. Maybe we set these to pixels. None. So I want these to kind of respond because we have the width changing. Width, let's say pixels. All right, boom. Nope. We don't want them to run into each other. So to do that, what we're going to go ahead and do is we have our repeater. Gap, 8 pixels. Let's do grid cell. All right, that should help a little bit. keeping things. It's not what we want. I wish there was just an easy way. A lot of this stuff is just playing around, and it's, and plus also, this is total. A lot of this is totally new for me. I was like, you know what? Let's try something. Let's try something new live today. And as you can see, a little bit of that, you know, some little unpreparation, but that's all right. It's I like the free flow. I like the free flow sometimes, guys. All right. All right, so that doesn't look too bad. I do wish that I can control the height of this. So height, let's do, I think that should be a percentage, honestly. So let's set this to %. What if this set was like to 50? Nope. Width. Let's see if we did 100. What's that look like? Boom. All right, these items here. Let's go to the repeater. We need more space in between this stuff. Do about 15. Let's do 20. PYP says that is the way, free flow. Yes, sir. All right, so the cards are looking good, but I want them to, I want there to be a specific height, you know. I want the height to stay the same size, which they are. But the shoes kind of get lost a little bit. And let me see, the repeater cards. I'm gonna add some margin here. I want to see what happens. There we go. Reason being is some of the shoe is getting cut off. All right, so let's start to play with this tablet piece here. So we're here. I want to make sure that the height, we're going to set to pixel amount, and we're going to set this to about, or rather the repeater. Let's actually make this a little bit longer. So the repeater that we have, or rather the layouter that we have, we want this to be about 70%, maybe 80. We're going to go ahead and go into our layouter. Repeater. We're going to relax some of the spacing here. We're going to go to 10. I'm going to pull back this margin to 0. I'm going to do a negative 60. I'm going to do a 50 pixel by 50 pixel. We're gonna pull it a little bit even more in, so I'm out like negative 40, negative 50. Obasi, what's going on, man? Good to have you here, dude. Okay, so this shoe, so we're boom, we're here. Now again, we're having that issue where the menu is not trying to collapse. And that is a problem. It's got 95. Let's go and try to overflow content. Let's go to hide. There we go. Set this to 100. Let's go to our mainframe, see what's going on here. So we're going to set this to 100 here in our for tablet. So there's this margin here that we had. It was 4.4. I'm going to set that to 0 for now. Okay. So this is looking good. I want to add padding here for the tablet. So I'm going to add padding to our section. So I'm going to go to our main section here, and I'm going to just add 4.4 to the padding, or 4.4 pixel percent. 4%. NF, thanks, man. Got to run, but hope to catch you next time. All right, my friend. Thanks for hanging out, and I hope to see you on the next one, dude. All right, let's see what we got. So this is looking okay. I do want to, so boom. And once we get into tablet, I want to kill these, so don't display. I wish there was a shortcut for don't display. All right, Isaac, take it easy, man. I got to make sure that I really need to be able to get these shorter, but thanks for hanging out. You can check the replay, and we'll have this as a recording and a shortened tutorial as well, man. So no fear. But hopefully you guys learned something. Actually, you know what I'm going to go ahead and do is I am going to cut down. I'm going to just take the entire menu piece that I made here. I'm going to copy this image. This middle piece, I'm just going to hit don't display. Here, paste my image instead. There we go. And our content here, we're going to have don't display. And instead, we are going to pull out a menu. Not a mega menu. Just a hamburger. And just place it right there. Change the color. I'm just gonna use one of the blacks, the black that we're using. Center align it so that here we have desktop. I'm going to turn this off. Don't display. But when we get to mobile, boom. Hamburger menu should be there. Good. All right, we're looking good. Now let's just play with mobile here. So when we get into mobile, I'm actually going to take off this background piece. Don't display. Our hamburger menu will change to gold color. I think I'm just gonna have to make a whole, or let me see. Repeater. Layouter. One item per slide. But I need to make sure container item. All right. And we need the repeater here. I'm going to show one item. In our layouter here, we're going to do slider. There we go. No sliding, or don't show the slider here. Boom. I still want to see it, -70. Solely, I got to run too. Definitely will be back. All right, my friend, take it easy. Thanks for hanging out though, Solely. I know this was long. I will definitely get better on the timing of these, but that's what happens when you try to go above and beyond sometimes. All right, let me see. I'm gonna make this repeater. What happens when we do 100%? There we go. This we're gonna set to a little bit bigger. Okay. And we might actually have some scaling here. So we had. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate it. I'm getting a little discouraged. It's getting late, and I'm getting a little sleepy. Let's see. But that's why you gotta have a team. That's why I got you guys keeping me up, fresh, and feeling loved. All right, so Luxor shoes, boom, shoe comes back in. All right, we're looking good. All right, let's preview this real quick. And we still have to make links for these, which is really easy. I'll show you guys how to do that. But our shoes work. Oh, we need to fix this up, which is pretty easy. So let's go back to edit. So all we're gonna go ahead and do is we are going to go to our repeater, or rather our item here, our second items here. We're gonna delete this. We're gonna go to our layouter, manage, duplicate. Beautiful. So now we can go to preview. And now we have the same shoes. Boom, boom. All right, now as we start to squeeze, boom, content stays good. All right, we're in tablet, nice. This kind of stays the same. I would still probably go in and fix some of the text here. In the boxes, you know, if I had a little bit more time, I would definitely spend time on just making sure, like, all this extra space, that there's not that. And if I, you know, for this, for example, I think all I would add on top of this is the, just so everything's kind of like on the same line here. And because I made changes and I want to keep everything the same, let's go to my layouter here again. I'm going to find my 2 items. I'm going to delete the second set of items because I want them to be identical to the first. Manage. Delete. Duplicate. All right, perfect. Preview. There we go. All right, and then this goes down to mobile. Now, as you guys can see, this kind of gets pushed out the picture, which is totally fine. We have a half and half. I do probably need to reduce the size of this. Then we have this. Uh-oh. We're only showing 2 things here. I would have to figure out how to do this, but we have our slider, and I want to bring it up a little bit. So let's just do our finishing touches here. Let's go ahead, take this, and I want to reduce the size of this to be, let's do max content. Oops, let's not do that, actually. Reason I don't want to do max content is because we still have this shoe over here that is adding some space. So what I could do is, when we're here for the mobile portion, I could set the pixels to be actually a percentage. Let's see. So we scale. Yeah, that looks gross. Let's actually just set it to don't display when it comes to mobile. Set that there. So boom, as we come down, and I'm gonna increase this whole container. We're gonna set this to, we're gonna flip this here. We set this to 100. Boom. Maybe we'll drop this to like 80. 50. There we go. And I think here I could delete that row. So boom, here, 3 dots, delete. Minimum height, none. Height, auto. Let's see where this extra space is coming from. I'm like, where is that height coming from? Let's do 300. Width, set this to about 60. So this is an item, minimum height set to none, width. Can I set this to max content? What does that do? Ah. Yeah, this is going to be a pain in the butt. Let me just undo all that. Let me just keep it basic. How we had it was fine. Let's just go ahead and just fix this. Let's set this to about 95. not max content. Set this to 95. 95. And 95. So all this stuff is actually getting pushed because we have that padding over here. And I'm probably just going to actually take out from our section. I'm going to put the 4.4 margin here. I'm going to do the 4.4 over here. And then I'm going to drop this. There we go. Height, none. Okay, we're going to set this also to none or auto. And I think, yes, this image is not set to don't display, so boom, there we go. So now everything is kind of more condensed. I'm gonna add some padding to the top here, about 50 pixels. Or not this, here, set this to 0. All right, I think that's okay. Now this background stuff, I am going to actually reduce some of the opacity of the gradient. So I'm gonna just pull that down just a little bit. And I'm going to just copy this. 3 dots, don't display. Paste. Now when I paste, I want to make sure that I'm actually pasting in, there we go, in the correct container. And why I'm doing that is because I'm going to actually change the color of it to not white. Yellow. Make sure that the 4.4 padding is over here. And I'm going to set our section height to be 100 VH. Let's see what that does. Perfect. And minimum height, set this to none. Actually, this looks way better without that. So let me go ahead and take this layouter, 4.4, 4.4%. Okay, there we go. That actually looks way better. I'm going to take this vector art, I'm going to pull it in just a little bit, negative 50 pixels. There we go. All right, let's preview. All right, so we got this, boom. I would like this to stay centered, and I don't like how this extends at all. All right, that works. All right, so I think I am digging the desktop and mobile versions, right? Where we got this, you know, this could still need, you know, use some work, but the mobile, let's go ahead and make sure that this stays centered and that this stays a particular width. So let's take, first off, let's go ahead and delete this column. I'm going to take this entire bit here and we're going to center it. Perfect. And let's do like 80% or something. So we're here, boom. We're going to center this puppy. Zero out all the margin. We don't need that. Minimum width, we'll keep the 333 center. All right, now let's work on this. So we want a specific width for this, and I want to do like, let's do 250. All right. Now this arrow, I'm actually going to bring it in now. So I'm going to bring it in by like 100 pixels. Let's do 50. Okay, there we go. Preview. All right, and we need to work on this. So I'm going to go to I'm just going to do the same thing. So we have our item here. And then this is our item, boom, our repeater. I'm going to go to manage. I'm going to delete. Delete. And for our main item, I'm just going to duplicate because we're just going to keep it the same. All right. Uh-oh. Oh no, that's what I deleted. Ugh. Okay, these three will be the same. Here. I think it's not the repeater, it's the layouter that I need. So the layouter, we're gonna manage, we're gonna delete one item. I duplicated it. Delete. Yes, delete. Yes. And then our main item, we're gonna duplicate. Oopsies. This needs to be -50, -25, -40. I think I might have gone back a whole bunch. Okay, let's go back here, boom. Okay, what's going on here? Layouter, we are at a percentage. I want to 250px. Okay, there we go. Let's set this to 280. Nice. We're also going to keep this centered. So this we're going to set to 100. This will be 80% but centered. This will be 100. All right, now this, let's do, I'm just going to set this to a pixel and pull this in and then center it. Try to get it like as close as possible. We don't need this margin. That looks ugly as hell. Let's put it back. Let's go ahead and set that back to 100. And I'm going to go ahead and take this back to the left here. Preview. I feel like I need this to be in line with that. That's 10%. We're also going to do 10% over here then. And I want there to be some space. So just 20 pixels top. And I think we also need some space here. Oh, there's an easier way. Let's go ahead and select this main frame. We're gonna go to our gap. We're just gonna do 25. Perfect. Okay. Let's set this to max content. Okay. And then this, it's got a minimum height. Set that to none. You gotta figure out how to not. Okay, there you go. All right, so that's looking right. All right, I still need to make it some stuff a little bit smaller. But other than that, I think we're looking pretty good, guys. Shwee! There are some, like I said, there's some additional tweaks. Like, the job is never finished when it comes to design. Like, I think the thing that I would need to do here, and I guess I can go ahead and do it. So for this box here, we're gonna have to set this to, especially for this, we're gonna need to make sure that this is boom. I think this as well. So this is set to 95. Let's set to max content. We're gonna need to pull this down. This box is huge. Set that to none. There we go. I think that was the main issue. Set this to 100. This container, we're going to set to 200. Pop that up a little bit. Vector art. Our layouter, we're also going to set, or our repeater, let's see. I think it's our layouter. We need to set this to like 200. 230. 220. All right. There we go. Much better. Let's make sure this is in the center. So we've got this here, 10. This is also 10. Just manually move this over just a little bit. Okay. Alrighty. Whew. The energy has come down, guys. Alright, but yeah, I gotta figure out how to make the, or just like not make shit so complicated. Just not do the thing for the first time every time. But here we go. This is the preview. Boom. Oh, I gotta do the duplicate thing again over there. All right. Last time. Layouter. Manage, delete the second item. Duplicate the first. All right, preview. There we go. Finally, guys. Jesus. All right. Now, essentially, the last thing I will share with you guys is if you wanted to link these up here. Links aren't available for text with line breaks. This is not a line break. Oh. Because it shows as a line break. Alright, well I guess I'll have to set these to, let's just see what the percentage is. Let me set this to 40. Now I'm just going to set each one of these to a fraction just to make my life a little bit easier. I know these were fractions before. Let's just set all of them to 1 real quick. All right, now we should be able to set these, and you could set them to whatever. We don't have any pages right now, but I could create a, what's it called? I could create a popular page. I could create a accessories page. I could create a community and product page. But that's really it, guys. We could continue to make this puppy more and more complex, dive into it, and really just tidy it up. But I wanted to show you guys with the 2.5 hours that we've been kind of playing with this, that you can easily bring in your stuff from Figma to Editor X, and that you can actually build something out of it. So yeah, we built a homepage from Figma to Editor X. It is, let me go ahead and publish this puppy. Let me see, gold shoes. Let's actually see this thing. All right, so this is the site, guys. This is the actual URL. We haven't put any of the links, but we could have. And we didn't set up our menu. Let me see, why isn't this clicking? Well, we didn't set up our menu, that's probably why. But let's see, let's go to here, boom. Open menu. Okay. We won't go into all that. I'm tired, everybody else is tired. But we got 2 different menus. The menus do work. And we could change them if we wanted to. I can set this to the background being black. And it's just the fact that we don't have any other pages, so I could do, what is it, product. Accessory, or popular accessories. Yeah, I'm telling you, Victor, like, we've been here for a while. I still got other stuff I got to do today. I did not mean for, I was like, yeah, we can do this in 30 minutes. Nope. It's because I keep trying to do too much. Community. All right, let's see. Boom. All right, so for here, we can just link them all up. Boom, page, popular. done. Accessories, link, page, accessories, done. Community, link, community, done. Product, link, community. I'm trying to handle it like a king. PYP, I'm glad that you're learning. And I'm trying to take it like a king, Victor, for sure. All right, let me see. I think there was one more thing. Yes, these things here. Hamburger. Let's open the menu. And surprisingly, I should be able to... It hasn't given me the option. Victor, if I'm not mistaken... Oh, here we go. Settings. I should be able to be like, hey, this is the menu that I want. And I don't see that. Yeah, usually it kind of sets it up for you, but I'm not. I wonder if it is because, let me look at my layers here. Yeah, no idea. Let me do something real quick. Yeah, it's for whatever reason it opens there. Or no, it doesn't. That's odd. All right, guys, that's for another day. I think we're there. But for whatever reason, I've done these in the past and they work totally fine. It might just be a bug for right now when it comes to the mobile menu. But as you guys can see, we do have our... And I can change these too. Like, I don't want to have them actually underlined. So I'm going to take those off. Publish that. Close these. All right. Oh, there it is. Okay. I wonder why it works now. Boom. All right, this still works. Good. We just haven't put a menu in there yet. All right, that menu works. This one works too well. I just made it black. All right, boom. We need to go here. We need to change open menu. Change that from this to this. Okay. Publish. All right, here we go, guys. Boom. Menu looking good. We just haven't had to put a menu in there yet. Slider's good. Menu's good. Close out. Nicely done. Shwee! All right, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Feast your eyes one last time. Okay? We're done. Holy cow. Okay. I'm tired. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out today for the EditorX to, or excuse me, the Figma to web, the woo, the Figma to EditorX tutorial. Thank you guys for hanging out live, Victor, PYP, and everybody else. I hope that, and we went from like 40 people to 9 people, so you guys the real deal. Thank you guys for hanging out, and I hope you guys learned a lot, and I hope I got to everybody's question who had one at the time, and you know, I'm impressed by myself being able to do this. This is like, I literally tried to put this together 30 minutes before the session. I was like, we just, you know, we didn't have enough time this week to be super prepared, but I hope people can watch this back to see like the troubleshooting of what's possible, what worked, what didn't work, and just understand like that's part of the web design process. So thank you guys for hanging out, and do not forget to like this video, subscribe, and share this with your friends so that we can all learn, grow, and do amazing things together. So yes, KM, Kimberly, EditorX is magically delicious. So with that said, guys, I'll see you next time. If you haven't already, join our Discord. Link is down in the description, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Have a great Thursday, and I will see you guys in our community. Tomorrow we have our portfolio review, so I'll see you there. Join the Discord. See you soon. Bye.